Hey guys, as many of you know, I read a lot. A lot. I should rephrase that considering times are changing. I hardly ever buy a physical book anymore. I almost always read them on my Kindle app on my iPhone. But more so, though, I'm absorbing my knowledge by listening to books on my iPhone while I bike and think. It costs more in money, but it costs less in time. And I'm obviously a fan of having it cost less in time. Much of what I read is in the political realm. The smarter I am with world issues, the better I can organize my international currency dealing business. The second most are business books, of course, and then I read religious, spiritual, and even many books on the seedier side of life, like Hunter Thompson. It's my desire to know as much about as much as possible. I realize that as an entrepreneur, it might be in my best interest to always do rather than just learn, but audiobooks allow me to do and learn. In the last week, I've listened to 4 books on my iPhone. As most of you know by now, I listen to them in double speed. It's much more efficient and I enjoy it better. Those 4 books in the last week are Committed, A Skeptic Makes Peace with Marriage by Elizabeth Gilbert. That's an 8.5-hour book that just took 4 hours on double speed. I actually listened to all of that today and just got done before this episode. Before that, I listened to The Promise, President Obama Year 1. That's a 21-hour book and it took 10.5 hours on double speed. Also on the way to Chicago, I listened to Tuesdays with Morrie, good book by Mitch Albom. That's a 3-hour and 41-minute book on normal speed and an hour and 50 minutes on double. The last book I read was 1L, The Turbulent True Story of a First Year at Harvard Law School. That book is 10 hours on normal speed and 5 on double. Collectively, that makes a total of 42 hours of reading if I had to read all of those books, but listening to them on double speed, that's 21 hours. That's still a lot. It's a lot of information. But I did most of that listening during times I wouldn't have been able to physically read. Because listen, I want to do my business. That's a great deal of knowledge that I get in each week that I wouldn't otherwise. I wouldn't have time to read that much, but I do have time to listen that much. I realize this site is based on examining movie star tactics to become how they become famous. I break them down and I share them with you. And this doesn't necessarily directly relate to that, but I'm a fan of the smart movie stars like Denzel Washington, Robert De Niro, and Tom Hanks. And if you notice, many of the top movie stars are smart people. Take Denzel, for instance. He constantly studies the culture of the time period he's playing, the mannerisms, and the logic behind the character. That takes much more than reading. That's a smart guy. Also, I believe it's truly difficult to be interesting if you aren't smart. Sure, you could be Paris Hilton, but she's largely interesting for reasons that will not keep her interesting forever. Her beauty and sex appeal will give way to younger women. Plus, since we are entrepreneurs, it's essential that we are smart. The movie star part of us needs to be interesting, but the entrepreneur part of us needs to be smart. I get annoyed many times that most entrepreneurs try to dumb things down so much to make things as easy as possible to potential customers. It's largely dishonest. I realize we need to make things simple to attract as many customers as possible, but we're keeping people dumb as well. Maybe that isn't true. Maybe people are keeping themselves dumb. Either way, we're not going to do it on this site. I'm a big believer in being a modern-day Renaissance man. I believe it's important to be smart in many areas. So, I'm going to cover those areas here by throwing in historical quotes and many things I get from my reading, or sharing ideas on how to gain more knowledge or get it quicker. That will be among the ideas on how to promote ourselves, but I believe it's not smart to promote something dumb. If we aren't already smart and prepared to handle the limelight, we won't enjoy it when the light gets shined down upon us if we're dumb. So, question of the day, what sort of things do you like to read? How do you read? Do you still read physical books? Do you read audio, or do you listen on audiobooks? Or is there a mixture? Do you have the Kindle app on the iPhone? What do you do? And how important is knowledge in your life? See you next time.